So for those who are not familiar and haven't been checking the news, by the way, be very, very careful when interacting with the Curve website right now. The Curve website, curve.fi, has been exploited, the DNS records, and it may be done for permanently. At the moment, it's curve.finance, but check the, I'd say check the X account for the most current link, but even just about a week ago, the X account was hacked. So a bit of a reminder that DeFi is incredibly dangerous. Just be very, very careful. The one thing I can vouch for is that the people presenting today, we've screened them. They're all good. We're not going to have any issues with this. So we're very excited to have this demo coming up. Now, I know that the guests who are joining us in terms of Cogsy and Patrick are both very, very, very busy. Patrick just jumped out of a meeting. He'll have to leave pretty soon. So I'm not going to stand on ceremony. We'll get things going. I'm trying to record this. So just if there's anybody who is interested in at some point catching this after the fact, by all means, you should have no problem. We'll post this to the Curve YouTube channel, probably Cyfrin, and Llamas will also help. So just for some context, the Curve team has been super focused on educational stuff for the entire time I've been working with Curve. I've produced a number of tutorial videos helping people to learn some of the technologies around Curve, like back in the day, Brownie, more recently, Viper, Titana Boa 8 framework. I'm hoping to do some videos on Moccasin coming up soon, which is near and dear to Patrick's heart, I'm sure. And Cyfrin has also had a very extensive history of absolutely surpassing us in terms of educational material. They have produced some of the most fantastic coursework out there, including a lot of elementary courses for how to get started with blockchain programming and some much more advanced coursework, which is going to help you to be able to really level up your skills. They created some fantastic Curve coursework in particular. So I'm not going to go too much in the details of that because I believe Patrick is going to be giving a demo of that. Is that, oh, there we go. We got the video of the man himself. Patrick, how are you?
GMG, I'm sorry. It took me a while to figure out how to get my video to work with Discord here. Yeah, doing well, Garrett. Great to see you again, as always.
Absolutely. Fantastic artwork in the background. Neon sign of your profile picture. So Patrick is going to be walking through all the Cyfrin. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Cyfrin, not Cyfrin.
Yeah, Cyfrin. You got it.
Okay. All the Cyfrin educational materials you put together, give a bit of a demo, and talk about the scholarship program that we've worked out with Cyfrin. Because in order to actually join the Cyfrin classes, you have to show off a baseline level of developer aptitude. And in order to do so, you have to take paid tests. And some people are going to be eligible for scholarships. And that's going to be through the Curve Finance dev channel here in Discord, as well as through the Llamas. So we brought in Cogsy from the Llamas to be able to discuss some of the amazing initiatives that the Llamas have been doing on the hiring side. So just because I know Patrick was going to be giving the first demo, but Cogsy, do you want to just briefly say hi?
Thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you, Patrick.
Nice to meet you as well.
And if you haven't seen, there's a chat window. So keep the conversation flowing in the chat. Feel free to ask questions there. If you want to ask any question verbally, raise your hand, request to speak. Patrick, stage is yours.
All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So here is Cyfrin Updraft. On here we have pretty much anything your heart desires as far as becoming technical in the Web3 industry. As Garrett has mentioned, Garrett's actually featured on a couple of different courses in Cyfrin Updraft as well for some special guest talks about different things in finance, and obviously in Python being the Python buff that he is. But essentially, so this is Cyfrin Updraft. Anything, I have to like keep flipping back and forth. If you hit the courses tab, you'll see kind of a list of the different courses from beginner all the way to advanced. Now, for those of you who are like, hey, I want to become a Curve god, I want to learn how to trade, how to make positions in Curve, I want to learn how to do everything and anything under the sun, you would go to the advanced courses. And hold on, I'll share screen again and scroll down to Curve Crypto Swap being one of the courses, and then we have some other curriculum on Curve as well. For those of you who want to become Lords of Python, we have Introduction to Python and Viper all the way to advanced Moccasin. Moccasin being a Pythonic framework for working specifically with Viper contracts, which all of you know, Curve runs with Viper, which we absolutely love. The beauty of this is all this is open source. All of this is free. It doesn't charge anything. Our mission at Cyfrin is to make Web3 accessible to anybody and everybody. Why? Well, because I don't know if you've noticed, sometimes Web3, we don't do a great job. We get hacked, we get scammed, we write bad code, and we don't have enough good developers. We need more good developers. The beauty of Cyfrin Updraft as well is that everything we do in all of our curriculum is AI powered as well. So if you're learning with AI, if you use AI, if you use Claude, if you use ChatGPT, whatever, going through our curriculum is with those tools is highly encouraged. Because guess what? When you go out into the real world to code and develop and work with real code, you're going to be working with AI. AI is going to help you. But the thing is, in the smart contract world, a lot of you probably know this already, getting something wrong has ramifications. If you get something wrong in kind of the classic Web 2 world, right? If your, cat JPEG website has an issue, well, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to show a picture of a dog instead of a cat, heaven forbid. But if your smart contract has something wrong, you're going to lose somebody $1 billion, which feels a lot worse. So it's so crucial that you as the developer actually understand everything that's going on, because your AI is going to give you recommendations that are wrong. And if you say, oh, cool, whatever, ship it, send it to prod, and somebody gets hacked, it's not going to be the AI's fault. It's going to be your fault. So understanding every single line of code, you as the human being, understanding every single line of code is absolutely crucial in the Web3 space. And we've seen a lot of kind of AI security auditors perform very poorly. And as of today, and I expect into the future, the security of these smart contracts will continue to be human powered, just because there's so much context that these AIs just aren't good enough at yet. So understanding all this stuff is incredibly crucial. You can then go to certifications. There's a certifications tab in the top right here. And then you can even get certified in the skills that you have learned. As of today, we only have a Solidity certification, but we are working on more. The next one coming out the door, I guess a little bit of an alpha leak, is our qualified signer certification. A lot of people in this industry get their hardware wallets or their software wallets, and it populates with data, and it says, would you like to sign this? And they go, I have no idea what this is, but they sign it anyways. And surprise, surprise, they lose billions of dollars. That is bad. We would like to stop that. So the next piece of curriculum we have coming out is going to be teaching people how to actually understand what they're signing on their wallets. And then additionally, their hardware wallets, their software wallets, or really just any interaction that you have. So that's coming next. And obviously working on more Python and Viper curriculum as well. So if we want to go ahead, let me just show you specifically some Curve curriculum. And sorry, I know the Discord stream keeps stopping. But if we take a look at like the Curve crypto swap curriculum, you can kind of see on the left side here. I really wish Curve would not stop doing that. We have kind of all the different sections of math. Curve, as many of you know, is a very math heavy protocol, right? Understanding how some of the liquidity algorithms work, how some of the basic math behind it works. It's kind of all the secret sauce that makes Curve, the phenomenal protocol that it is. And this will go through, it'll teach you all that. We have Taz, our amazing instructor, literally go through the math with some fantastic animations. You can't really see it because Discord isn't letting me do this. He also graphs out a lot of the algorithms as well, showing kind of where the price points hit. And with every single piece of curriculum, there's a resources tab, which will bring you to a GitHub site, which will have, the different tools that he uses in the course, all the code that he works with, so that you can go off and be successful and do some really cool coding, auditing of Curve, integrating your own protocol into Curve, and the like, and just do some really badass stuff. So yeah, so the last thing I want to note here is that these certifications, so the curriculum is great, and we love, like I said, it's always our mission to keep everything open source, everything free, because like I said, we need more talented people in Web3 doing cool stuff. So we need to make the information as accessible as possible, like as an industry. But when it comes to hiring managers who are looking to seek talent, they need to have some assurance that you actually know what you're doing. Right now, if you put out a job posting, say, hey, I'm looking for somebody who's good at Solidity, you're going to get 1,000 applications, and it's really difficult for the hiring manager to actually pick somebody out of the crowd. Like I said, AI is a fantastic tool, which makes coding a lot easier. But once again, there needs to be a human who can actually call out when the AI is wrong. Because if the AI gives you something wrong, as it quite often does, once your code gets big enough, that could be the line of code that loses you $1 billion. That's the pro and the con of the industry we work in. The pro is, hey, the code can't be changed. It's permissionless. It's atomic. It's automatic. It's fantastic. But you have to be incredibly careful with everything that you do. So that's why these certifications are so important, so that you can actually prove, hey, I actually know what I'm talking about. I am smarter than the AI. And that's really what we're looking for with these certifications. Yeah, and excited to keep building more cool stuff with Curve, building more Python stuff. As Garrett said, I've been a big Python buff for some time. Brownie is still my secret favorite framework of all time. So sad that she keeled over, but that's why we built Moccasin, to hopefully pick up some of the pieces. So I guess Garrett, should we do questions, or how do you want to go from here?
Yeah, let's see if there's any questions coming in. Questions about the curriculum, questions about Cyfrin, questions about any particular point of Curve. We got the chat open. I see some people typing furiously.
I have a question, Patrick. Sorry, I can't type in chat, so I apparently don't have permission to ask you a question in chat. So I'll just ask it on voice. What about cursor integration? Have you guys talked about doing a cursor course, or having cursor plugged directly into the course as you're learning?
Yeah, so in a lot of the curriculum, we use VS Code with Copilot, and so we recommend, hey, Copilot's free, let it rock. I know Cursor went free at some point. I actually, for teaching, we intentionally stay away from Cursor though, because can be very distracting, and if you're always just hitting tab, you're not I really want you to, especially as you're learning, practice doing it yourself. It's like if you're trying to learn a new language, for example, and you have Google Translate with you all the time. Basically, what you would do is you would just say it in English, pop it into Translate, and then just have it say whatever it needs to say, but you're not actually digesting any of that information. So what we teach at Cyfrin Updraft is have your AI beside you, but anytime you want to prompt it, you prompt it specifically. That way, you're asking it a specific question. You're asking it how to unblock a problem that you run into. So this kind of goes into a little bit of psychology on how we learn. Memory is the residue of thought. And that's something that I always have in the back of my mind. Memory is the residue of thought. The more you think about something, the more you're going to remember it. And one of the best ways to kind of have that thought is to get stuck on a problem. You probably did something wrong once, or you ran into a problem and that was really, really frustrating. It took you forever to solve it. And once you solved it, you went, holy shit, I got it. I understand everything now. And it's a big part of the psychology behind why that happens is because you spent so much time thinking about it that it's stayed in your memory, because memory is the residue of thought. So this is the long-winded answer to your question. I want you to get stuck. I want you to run into problems, and then only once you have a clear understanding of what the problem is and what you're even trying to ask, then you prompt the AI for the answer, and then if it has the answer, great. But yeah, Claude I think is actually very invasive, and it makes it, and you don't think as much, and because you don't think as much, it doesn't stick as well. And so I want it to stick. I want when you're learning it to stick. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. When you explain it, like the cursor is just you hit tab and you never see anything, and it's all like behind the scenes, right? Where Copilot, like I use it for my son's math homework. Copilot will break down every single step of what he's supposed to be doing. So I've never tried to code with Copilot, but I would imagine it's similar, where it'll show you what you're building.
So Copilot also, you can do the tab thing. It's much less aggressive. But in any case, like it's we still teach kind of exactly what you said. Like, yeah, like get stuck on something, ask it a specific question, because even just the process of like formulating the question you're asking, you're thinking about it, right? Just that thought of like, what is even my problem? You're thinking about it, and that's what I want you to do. If you're just hitting tab, you never even get a second to think about the problem, and so nothing sticks. So what's going to happen is if you rely on Cursor for your entire learning journey, you're going to get 30 hours deep and realize you haven't learned anything. All you've learned how to do is like hit tab. Which for web, to be honest, in my opinion, for web 2, that's kind of okay. Because like I said, like if you mess up a website, like who cares? But for web 3, it's pretty not okay, because that little piece of code that you kind of skipped over, it could be the line of code that has the $1 billion exploit. So the summary here is taking the time to formulate a question to ask your AI is the minimum amount of thought I want a user to do, so that it sticks. That's the summary there. Great question. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I just echo this and 100% agree. Like there is like, maybe like it would actually be useful at some point for Cyfrin to do a course on this, like proper usage of AI in Web3. Because for building tests, like great. Like if you have extra tests and if there's kind of goofy, that's fine, because you're going to learn through the process of like, oh, the AI hallucinated some really weird stuff on this test. Like this is garbage. Let's throw it out. But it kind of gives you extra backup. Doing it on the actual like smart contract, like you have to be extremely careful, because you can absolutely lose a ton of money for all of your users. So my Xfeed is full of all these threads about how like, oh, I vibe coded my way into making $1 million with AI and I don't know code. And every now and then I'll be curious. I'll copy those prompts in. I will paste them into ChatGPT or Claude or Cursor and just see how it comes out. And like inevitably, like it gets stuck a little bit down the way, and it's not nearly as easy as these things say. And the only way that AI is really like actually useful for programmers if you already have the underlying programming knowledge, so that you're seeing what the AI is doing as it's coding and being like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's saving me some time on this trivial task. Or like maybe this can help refactor something, but only if you know what you're doing is it actually helpful. All right. Next question I saw was GNART asking if you could talk a bit more about the scholarship. So Patrick, would you talk a bit about the scholarship program that you guys are offering?
Yeah, so it's still in flux. It's still in the works at the moment. But essentially, we're working out a way for people who want to get qualified to go through basically a program so that the certification, so everything on Cyfrin Updraft is free, except the certification. So if you want to get certified, there is a cost for the certifications. But we're working on a program basically for certain qualified individuals. We're still tweaking that at the moment to basically be able to take them for free or for a reduced cost. I guess more information on that soon. As we continue to flesh it out. Stay tuned. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for more information there.
Oh, and we have Namd from Cyfrin who might.
Oh, even better.
Add some color here. You're muted though. So while Namd is working on figuring out the mic questions, like I'll just add that like one of the things that we really like about this particular like project that we're working with Cyfrin on is that if you are, like we get a lot of like I see a question here about how Curve is planning on integrating Updraft certifications in the hiring process. Like well, for the Curve side, like we have issues that are open that we need help with, but some of the problem is if we expose these issues, we get a million like AI slop answers that aren't very good. Actually, like take our devs more time. So we want to be very careful with how we do this. One of the things that's exciting about this is that if we're offering scholarships, like that's not something that an AI bot can make much use of. But it's something a human who's really motivated and really driven to make use of it. If they get the scholarship, like that gives them access to this course, which they can complete. And maybe they can feed that into their llama, for example. So that's one of the reasons we're really excited in particular to work with the llamas on this scholarship program. Cogsy, you haven't got a chance to talk too much, but would you give like a brief bit of info about like how the llamas is planning on working these scholarships into the When Llamas hiring process?
Yeah, sure. So I talked about on our last call, and now I can talk about it on the public call, that we had a Curve grant last year to build a permissionless badge and bounty job platform and it's on a website, woolish.gg. I don't have the ability to be able to link it, but you can just type it out, woolish, WOOLISH.gg. It's pretty easy. And so on there, we have the a permissionless bounty program where anybody can bounty any kind of a job in crypto that they're looking to fill, or even like a social media manager type of position. But it's almost always been used by Web3 and crypto program systems, because that's where we are focused. Our NFT project is the unofficial, official PFP of the Curve ecosystem. And oh, great. Thank you. Thanks, Garrett. Appreciate that. Garrett's got the Woolish website up there. So my plans on our integration of the scholarship program for Cyfrin is to start with our holders. So we have a verified holders channel inside our Discord, and I've already got 4 or 5 people who are interested in applying through our holders. And then I would, after we make sure that all of the holders are covered, then I'll go and just create a bounty for it. So it would be a free bounty, right? Because it's a scholarship program. So it's not like I'm offering to pay them anything, but their reward system is going to be being able to participate in the Cyfrin Updraft Curve scholarship system.
Excellent. Namd, are you there? Are you able to speak now?
Yeah. Hey guys, can you all hear me? Sounds good. Yeah. So first of all, we are super excited to work with Curve on this scholarship. Essentially, Curve is giving away 50 certifications to the ecosystem builders, Curve builders, and these certifications, as Patrick mentioned earlier, once you are certified, the Llama will be integrating these certifications as part of the hiring process, candidate selection for any future opportunities for Curve and a few for a few other protocols as well. In terms of the selection criteria on who are getting the scholarship, Garrett, I will have to ask you to share more details around that.
Yeah, and on that side, the current distribution that we've worked out between Cogsy and myself is that about half those scholarships will be available for Curve developers, and the other half will be available for the llamas. Although it's a moving target, if one or the other use up our bucket too quickly, we might see if the other is going to have any spare. So if you're interested in the scholarships, I'd encourage you to reach out to both me and to Cogsy. The best place to reach out to me on regard to that is within the dev channel here in the Discord. The dev channel, we have a lot of really intelligent questions that people are asking, usually about particular points of the Curve resources, the Curve technical documentation. We do have bug bounty programs, so if you notice anything on Curve that you think might be broken, in particular, if you can look over all the open source code, because all the Curve code is open source on GitHub, and recommend fixes. The other place to sniff around is on the GitHub itself. There is a variety of open issues that we post there from time to time. And I've been talking with the team about posting a few, particularly on the front end side. We need everything from back end to front end. But if there is, the front end is very complex. It's a gorgeous website, and it's as you can see, when the website goes down, like it has been due to the DNS hack in the past 24 hours, it is a problematic incident for all of DeFi. Now, of course, that had nothing to do with anything Curve related, and smart contracts are all safe and secure and functioning fine, but it's just very sad when the website's down. But that being said, there's a lot of issues that we can do to make the website better. Incredibly complex, juggling all of Curve's products between Curve USD, Lend, the Curve DEX exchange, crypto swaps, stable swaps, all the resources. Even if you just want to help out and contribute because you know something wrong with the resources, definitely let us know on the dev channel. Is in the Discord is probably the quickest and easiest way to get in touch.
I had another question about the Viper specific Cyfrin thing. Garrett, did you see that, Patrick?
Is this about the Viper certification?
Yeah, S3BC40 asks if you're preparing a Viper equivalent of the Cyfrin Solidity certification, and if so, when do you think it might be out?
Great question. It's on our to-do list. S3BC40, one of the fantastic contributors to the Moccasin project, by the way. Everyone check out their GitHub repo. It's on our to-do list, my friend. Stay tuned.
If you follow the Curve dev team for any amount of time, you know that Curve devs do not like to be asked when. They just release it when it's ready. I imagine it might be similar.
Yes, very similar.
So if there's no other questions, I'd like to ask a question, which is a bit of a leading question because you've told me about this before. But what do you do to keep the Cyfrin coursework up to date with all the myriad changes that happen all the time in crypto?
I don't sleep. It's pretty much it. Me and the Cyfrin team, we don't really sleep that much. No, so I mean, we're, so the main instructors are me, Kira, and Taz, and we also have so every day we're coding, we're doing security reviews. And so we're always kind of tinkering with tooling. Most of the time, something changes, we'll go to the, we'll know immediately, we'll go to the Updraft curriculum and then we'll make the tweak wherever. Maybe it's just edit a video, maybe it's update some example code. Sometimes we'll get feedback from the community. We have a lot of helpers who work with the community to get feedback from the community, and same thing, they'll patch different things. And then once a year, pretty much every year, we kind of do a holistic review of everything. And so if you've been watching the Cyfrin curriculum, basically every year we release a brand new 40-hour piece of content, because we want to make sure that Cyfrin Updraft is always the best place to learn everything you need to know. So we're just very on top of the ball, always responding, always making things more current, and always releasing new courses and always researching. So Garrett, basically the answer to your question is we code a lot, and we care very deeply about the community. So we make sure that everything that we know, the community knows. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for asking.
What about hiring trends? What are you noticing, if anything, in the kind of Web3 hiring pipeline? Is there particular skill sets that are highly in demand, particular skill sets that are losing favor? Is a good time to be getting into Web3? Have you noticed anything on that front?
Yeah, great question. So the floor for what you need to know to get into Web3 is rising, which I think is a good thing. 3, 4, 5 years ago, if you knew how to write an ERC20 token, you were going to get a 6-figure job, the next day. Those days are over, which I think is a good thing, because, you could be, you could know almost nothing about computer science and, have a well-paying job. And that resulted in us shipping a lot of really bad code. A lot of contracts that got exploited were because, we just had a lot of people who were shipping code that wasn't very good. So the floor for what you need to know is rising. And some of the biggest trends that I've seen is demand. Basically in 2025, if you're going to be technical, it's basically unacceptable to kind of turn a blind eye to security. So if you're going to be a smart contract developer, you pretty much have to be a security researcher to some degree. Because those, like I said, an AI can write a lot of your code, a lot of your smart contract code, but an AI will also stick in bugs. And like I said, getting a single bug in the wrong place in your smart contract code can result in catastrophic failure. So definitely people with security skills. I actually think if you want to become a security engineer, the path to success is the clearest it's ever been. Like if all you want to do is get a job, here's literally the roadmap. Go to Cyfrin Updraft, complete curriculum all the way through the security curriculum, and then go onto competitive audits platforms like CodeHawks, perform well, and you will have a job. That is how every single security researcher in 2025 gets a job. They perform well in competitive audits. An audit firm goes, "Oh my God, you've proven your worth. Like, come join us." Now, that being said, it's not easy. They are competitive audits because they are competitive. But it is straightforward. If you do well, you get a job, and that's how most people these days in security get a job. So yeah, definitely trends there. We're also seeing trends for bringing over kind of people with traditional skills to this industry. So being able to do, if you're not technical, if you're not a developer, being able to do, marketing, business development, sales, finance, but having kind of the core knowledge of how Web3 works is incredibly important as well. And for my personal thought is, if you are going to work in this industry, I would highly recommend you have our qualified signer certification that comes out very soon, because if your boss goes, "Hey, like, can you get on this multi-sig?" and you say yes, and then you sign something that brings your company to catastrophic failure, that would really suck. So yes, so those are some of the trends that I'm seeing right now. Ooh, got a question for you, Garrett, from S3BC40.
Does the scholarship include security knowledge? I know. Oh, no, yeah, yeah. I heard you'll use Moccasin framework. Are you preparing a crash course? Yes. Again, devs don't like to be asked when, so I won't answer when. But yes, there will soon be some Moccasin coursework. If you have any requests for content, I'll try and also keep all my coursework to also show off curve highlights and curve features. So if there's in particular curve questions that you have that you'd like to see addressed using Moccasin, definitely let me know. There's a few questions about the details of the scholarship. So when is the scholarship released? Namd, maybe you can answer this, but I believe that both Cogsy and I are authorized to start dispensing scholarships immediately, right?
Yes, that is correct. The scholarship has officially been released. You are welcome to apply for it as soon as today. In terms of the deadline, we would love for this to be given out by the end of July. And in terms of the next question around whether the scholarship includes security knowledge, Patrick, you might be the best person to answer that.
What's the question on the security knowledge?
Does the scholarship include security knowledge? It would be part of the SSCD Plus certification that we are.
Yeah, good question. So the SSD Plus certification, only a little bit. So you do not have to have taken the security and auditing curriculum on Cyfrin Updraft as of today, but that may change in the future.
Just to add on to that, in order to prepare for your SSCD Plus certification, you can go through our Solidity track. We have the Solidity curriculum, Foundry, Fundamental, Advanced Foundry. You can go through those courses in order to get yourself prepared for the course. And as part of the certification scholarship that we're giving away, this includes all of the add-ons as well. So if you check out the Updraft website and you try to add the certification to cart, you see that you have an option to opt in to the study guide, an option to retake the exam in case, it doesn't go as planned, you don't pass the first certification, you have an option to do that. And those add-ons are all included as part of this scholarship as well.
Okay, there's a few questions that came in. Questions about requirements for getting accepted in the scholarship. I will let Cogsy speak for them on the Llama side because they have a much more official process. On the curve side, it's just going to be at the discretion of the curve team. So if you show aptitude in the dev channel, if you're asking good questions, if you seem like you are legitimately interested in curve and the curve technology and to be capable and able to add value, then we will probably dispense some scholarships as thank yous. If you are being obnoxious, if you're harassing people, if you're doing things that might get you banned, you will probably not get much. Best place is to contribute positively in the dev channel. Cogsy, do you want to comment on the process within the Llama side of things?
So far, it's going to be people who we already know, known coders that are in our channel. But as we have new people come on board, like we've had a couple people ask so far in chat, I just told them to DM me, and then I would just run them through a real, short and small test. Like, I'm just going to pre-screen them a little bit before I dump them on Patrick.
All good. Thank you for the pre-screening.
So jreynolds.crv had a couple of questions. One is when the qualified signature course is going to come out. I'm guessing the answer will be soon, TM.
Soon, TM. Yep.
What's the cost of the course without having the scholarship?
The curriculum is free. Curriculum is always free. So the cert, the SSD plus one, I think is $299 at the moment. I'd have to double check. But that's what it is without the scholarship. But yeah, all the curriculum is and forever will be free.
And you get an NFT cert, right?
Soon, TM.
Soon, TM. Okay, I thought one of the previous courses had you launching an NFT cert or something.
Well, so they all have NFT like challenges that you can solve. Where if you like solve basically a coding challenge, it will mint you an NFT. If you want to, we have had a lot of people use those as like proof that they know what they're doing. And if you do that, like basically, if Cyfrin had a smart contract position and I saw you had all 15 coding challenges, I would be like, okay, this person probably knows what they're doing.
Cogsy, this is a badge request for the Llamas. If you could work with the Cyfrin team to like have the certs directly applying to the Llamas, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, have it go just feed into your badge program and like have a cross-platform badge. That would be amazing.
So you could offer
no big deal. We'll jump on that.
Added to the product roadmap. Thank you.
Well, the questions come in. I have some questions about just the general Cyfrin business. I know that Cyfrin offers audits and has given a variety of audits to some like very hefty names within DeFi. According to the website, you've helped secure over $40 billion of DeFi TVL, which is no small feat. And you find that generally, like the typical smart contract has like almost a dozen bugs, which is kind of like mind blowing. So I'm just curious to hear a bit more about the Cyfrin audit process, like what particular tools or methods you use to keep blockchain contracts so secure.
Absolutely. Yeah, great question. So here's one of the things that makes me incredibly proud of what we do at Cyfrin. There is no secret sauce. Pretty much everything that we do, we teach in the security and auditing curriculum. So if you want to know what we do and what every other, tier one audit firm does in the industry, just go to Cyfrin Updraft and take that security and auditing curriculum. But essentially, at the end of the day, it's some combination of sitting your butt down and staring at code for 40, 50, 60 hours, trying to understand what's going on. When we first launched our security and auditing curriculum, a few months before, I did a partial live stream of a real audit that I was working on, a real audit that we were paid for. And it was, I kid you not, I probably spent like 80 hours on the audit. I streamed like 40 hours of it. I kid you not, it's like me, like dead silent with like code and just like all you can hear is typing and just like, why that doesn't make any sense. Why did he do? No, okay, it's just mumbling for 40 hours straight while I'm trying to like digest and understand what's going on. So the biggest thing that security researchers, that auditors do, is they try to understand what the code is actually doing. So the documentation is basically like the human written edition of this code is supposed to do X, and then the code is the implementation of that. So you're trying to figure out, okay, where does the code differ from what it's supposed to do? And that's it. And so most of that is actually going to be like business logic. Business logic. Now, a lot of different auditors have a lot of different methodologies. So some of our lead auditors, they use a checklist methodology where they literally have a giant checklist that they go through for every single audit that they do, and they look for common vulnerabilities, and then they check for business logic. Some have just read so many exploits that they just get a feel of where, hey, the code doesn't really make sense here. There's an issue here, etc. But that's kind of the manual review process. Now, and the reason I'm focusing so much on that is that's actually the most important aspect. Now, as far as tooling goes, obviously they do use tools. Our team absolutely loves doing fuzz tests. It's still a tool that's underutilized in the industry. A fuzz test is basically where you just like throw random inputs at a contract to try to break it. And so it's kind of like an art of throwing randomness, not so randomly, throwing randomness in a very specific way where you think there might be a bug. So we use fuzz tests a lot. Tools like Echidna, Foundry, Chimera, Chaos Monkey are all great fuzzing tools that we use. We obviously use static analysis tools. We've actually built our own static analysis tool called Adarin, where it basically reads your solidity and it looks for common vulnerabilities, such as, maybe you didn't check for a zero address where you should have. Maybe you're using a potentially unlimited loop. Although if you're coding in Viper, you can't do it in unlimited loop. That is one of the beauties of using the Viper code base. So we do use different static analysis tools. Sometimes we'll use AI tools as well to help understand documentation, to help kind of break down more complicated parts of code. But for the most part, it really is good old fashioned walking through the code base and trying to understand what every single line does. That's kind of the unglamorous answer to being a security researcher. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of feeling like you're not accomplishing anything. And then all of a sudden bugs. Because once you kind of have an understanding of how every part of the code base works, then you can start asking questions. Oh, well, what if I just did this random thing over here? Would that break something down there? That's pretty much it. So that's the secret sauce. A lot of reading, a lot of understanding, and then obviously a little bit of knowing what tools are out there and how to use them. So formal verification, just quick note. Formal verification is a tool. A lot of people just go, I'll just use formal verification. Formal verification has very niche applications. It's a good tool as well, but just understanding where the tools are good is the most important. You don't want to just use every tool and everything. You want to understand where tools are applicable. So and thank you, S3 BC40. The Adarin extension for VS Code is phenomenal. Everyone should download it. Although, since you're all here, the Adarin extension is mainly for Solidity, and none of you are Solidity devs. I know you're all Viper devs, so maybe the Adarin extension is useless for you.
Could you talk a bit about the importance of test suites in smart contract programming?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't have a test suite, your code isn't done. Just full stop. One of the things we would do, the Cyfrin team we would do in the early days, back when we worked with a little bit less experienced clients, was we would just go to the test suite and just look for where they didn't have tests. And wherever they didn't have tests, we would go, yep, we're going to find a bug there. And pretty much every single time they didn't have a test, we would find a bug. So test suites are your defense. Test suites are how you write what's called defensible code, how you can defend your code from attackers. Test suites are you saying, I expect my code to do this, and actually have it do that. One of the most powerful types of tests you can write is going to be some type of invariant test suite. So one of the invariants of the curve protocol is going to be that math equation that Garrett showed earlier. That math equation must always hold. So what you can do is you can write a test that just says, after doing any transaction on the curve protocol, make sure this equation still holds. And that's where this fuzzing thing comes in. And so you just throw random data at the application to try to break that equation. And so if your test suite is robust, you should be able to catch pretty much any issue that might pop up with this invariant test, with this breaking this invariant. But yeah, like, humans are dumb. I'm a human, so I know. And we mess up. And if we don't have tests, if we don't have automated tests to catch all of our edge cases, you never know what one tiny change might make. There have been way too many examples in Web3 where a protocol goes to upgrade, although Curve contracts are not upgradable. So once again, Curve is protected from this issue. But a lot of smart contracts out there are upgradable. And a protocol makes a tiny tweak. It adds like a small function, it adds a variable. They go, this isn't going to affect anything. Let's ship it. And if they had a test suite that tested all the different kind of expected states of their protocol, adding this new function would have broken the test, and they would have known not to ship it. But unfortunately, too often a protocol adds some feature they shouldn't. They don't have a test suite. It ends up introducing a massive exploit, and they get wrecked. So test suites are how you can defend yourself, especially against code changes, but also as you're writing your code, hey, my functions are actually doing what I expect them to do. So yeah, just incredibly important. If you don't write tests, your code isn't done. So Benula, I see your question as well. Garrett might have an answer for this as well. Hey, I know it might be a bit off topic, but do you guys have any advice for soon to graduate DS students? Well, my advice would be go to Cyfrin Updraft, go through the security curriculum, and pop off. You know, if you have that security knowledge, the world is your oyster. So that would be my advice. Maybe Garrett has different advice. Oh, and then obviously take the Curve curriculum, and Viper and Moccasin. And I'm getting ahead of myself. Garrett, over to you.
Well, that's exactly the advice I would give as well. But given that advice is taken, I will just add that, like, if you like, it's probably never. Yeah, I agree with what Patrick said, that like the bar is rising to become a Web3 developer. Like, you can't just like know the basics. That being said, if you're interested in Web3, it's probably never been easier, and nor has it been a better time, because there is hundreds of protocols out there, and there are more launching every day, and they are all trying to find good, talented CS graduates like yourself, and they don't know how. Which means that if you are interested, it's not tough. Show up in their Discord, show up in their Telegram, and in particular, look at their GitHub repositories, because if I guarantee that for every 100 people that show up in the Discord and Telegram, only one is actually looking at the GitHub. They're probably posting issues. They're probably like making code commits. You can download the code yourself and take a look. If you see any issues, you can flag them, and they're going to be eternally grateful. And you're going to like the pipeline between discussing issues in the code base or asking questions and getting a job is incredibly short. If you can't find any issues, you can offer to write tests for them. You can offer to write documentation for them. You can offer just to help out however you can. Generally, if you go in the dev channel and just ask questions, you will like find it's pretty easy. So those are the pieces of advice I'd give. I'd say start with Curve. We've got a dev channel. Talk about the Cyfrin courses that you took. Ask questions about them. Look at the Curve GitHub repositories. But if not Curve, there's a lot of protocols out there that could use some help. But great to see. And just building off of Patrick's point about tests, those of you who are interested in vibe coding, the one way I've seen it kind of work is if you ask AI to generate the tests first, and then ask AI to generate code against the tests. It still is a very low hit rate, but at least it has like a way of checking that the application you're trying to build is adhering to some standards of reality. All right. It looks like Baba asks, since testing is the topic, are there any tips, ideas you have when it comes to generating, formulating what test cases to have? I know off the top of my head, there's branching tree technique, which pick up some steam. Patrick, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah. The branching tree technique by Paul R. Berg. That's a great one. One of the helpful tips is going to be looking for code coverage. Now, code coverage is basically a tool, and then we teach this to Cyfrin Updraft that sees how many lines of code have been covered by a test. It can be kind of red herring is the wrong word, but it can be kind of a vanity metric if you write your tests poorly. But it is a good way to kind of give you a good idea of like, hey, like I haven't tested some edge case or some edge state. Another example of what you could do is if you're using kind of a more advanced fuzzer like Echidna, basically write your fuzzer in such a way that it's able to explore multiple states of your protocol. If you use like Echidna, as you're running it, it'll tell you how many states it's explored. And the rule of thumb is once it's stopped exploring states for stopped exploring new states for a couple hours, let it run for 24 more hours, and that's kind of the rule of thumb. So branch tree technique is great. Code coverage is going to be a rule of thumb on how to write, how to start figuring out what branches to use, and then any core any core business logic. This is where you're understanding your invariants is incredibly important. You should absolutely be testing those as well. So, and that I would argue is probably one of the most important ones. Is really if you have your invariants dialed in, and by invariants I mean what aspects of your code base must never break. If you have those dialed in, you can start just hammering tests away to try to break those invariants, especially with fuzz testing. So again, like, with curve, you have the equation that Garrett showed. With if you're testing Aave, maybe it's, hey, like, interest, a token interest must always go up. If you're working on something like, I don't know, one of my examples I always use is T-Sender, which is like an airdrop code base that I've written. I wrote it in pure opcodes and I wrote it in Solidity. My invariants would be the Solidity implementation should always have the exact same outputs as the pure opcodes written implementation. So those are just have your invariants dialed in, and that makes writing tests a lot better.
On the topic of code coverage, I know that Titanoboa's code coverage feature is really slick. I haven't gotten a chance to play with Moccasin. Do they have a similar? I imagine they would have to.
Well, so Moccasin was built off of Titanoboa, so it has the same code coverage as Titanoboa. Yeah. So the idea behind Moccasin was, holy shit, Titanoboa is awesome. What if Titanoboa had a CLI? And that's Moccasin.
Probably got time for one more question. So if I don't see it popping in the chat in like the next minute or so, I will just turn it over to both Patrick and Cogsy to say, is there anything important that you think we should have covered that we didn't cover? Or like anything important you'd like to plug as far as how people can find you and get in touch with you all?
Yeah, for me, you can follow us on Twitter at Cyfrin Audits, also Cyfrin Updraft. You can follow me at Patrick Alpha C. You just look up Patrick Collins and you'll see the silly blue frog. That's me. Be sure to check out follow for updates because we're always posting new stuff. We have some really cool stuff coming down the line. And I guess I did a massive alpha leak, but qualified signer certification, I think, is going to be one of the most important certifications in all of Web3. So
I'd say pop on another question in time if you want to answer. Beyond invariant testing, fuzz testing, and core unit testing, how important or valuable do you think it is for symbolic tests, i.e. Halmos or Tora, when it comes to an audit? And if you do your own symbolic test, you need an audit.
Yeah, great question. So symbolic testing is a form of like formal verification, where formal verification is basically you take some function you've written in code and you turn it into math, and then you solve the math equation. So it's kind of abstract, but it is really cool. My recommendation is that 99% of the time, fuzz tests are going to be what you need. Fuzz tests are going to be more than enough because writing good, correct form of verification code takes a lot of effort. And Additionally, it could be a waste of time if you don't really know what you're doing. So my answer is you should understand how it works so you know where to apply it. For people watching the recording, Cogs got banned because he posted a link to like where to follow him for more, and the auto mod kicked him. But yeah, so formal verification. It depends if you know how to use it. The areas where you should use it become clear. So, for example, like one area that I think it's great for is for equivalence testing. So, like I was saying earlier, one of my favorite examples of formal verification would be to compare like a Solidity implementation against a Yule implementation of a function, like a withdraw function. The Yule implementation and the Solidity implementation should always have the exact same outputs for the exact same inputs, and then you can formally verify that. So to me, that's one of my favorite examples of formal verification or symbolic execution. I don't think so. You mentioned Halmos and Certora. So Certora is a stateful form of verification tool, where Halmos is technically a stateless one. So Certora is a little bit more powerful. Halmos, in my opinion, is a little bit quicker. So even those two tools, they have different trade-offs. And again, kind of using them more will give you more information on when and where to use each. But no, it is not required that you use them in audits or even in your test suites. But if you understand the tool, you'll know where to use it.
Cogsy is unfortunately not going to be able to complete his sign off because he has been banned. Let it be a warning that even if you're a friend, do not share Discord links in the server. His ban has been revoked. We'll see if he finds his way back in. Nam, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think we have covered everything. Just super excited to see all the applications, and we are ready to go. So again, if you are interested in getting SSCD Plus certified, reach out to Garrett and Coxie, and yeah, we'll be looking forward to all of the applications.
And big thanks to Kendrick for getting Cogsy back in here. Cogsy.
I'm unbanned. Holy shit, I made it. Thank you for having me on, guys. I've already got a ton of DMs, and I was just linking people to the Llamas Discord for to be able to keep in touch. And I sent those in the DMs for everybody. Nice to meet everybody. Thank you.
All right, we're officially signing off. I think the chat will stay open. Thanks retroactively to Patrick for joining. Thank you, Nam. Thank you, Cogsy. We will be looking forward to continuing to hear all the thoughts from all of you. This has been a successful Cyfrin scholarship demo. Thank you all.